Are 12-month leases still the automatic, hands-down best move for Kansas City real estate investors? Well, for a long time, the answer was just a simple yes. You sign the paper, you collect the rent. But right now, the demand landscape in KC is shifting in some really fascinating ways. We're seeing this powerful new current of renters who just need something different. They're looking for housing that's flexible, fully furnished, and lasts longer than a quick weekend trip, but definitely shorter than a full year. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the world of midterm furnished rentals in Kansas City. We're basing our analysis on insights from Alpine Property Management Kansas City, a team that's been serving KC investors since 2013. We're going to take a highly practical, data-driven approach to see if this strategy is actually worth your time and capital. So no hype here, just the honest numbers and mechanics. Here's the data-driven journey we're taking today. We'll cover the midterm opportunity, crossing the 30-day line, mapping Kansas City demand, the honest yield math, and finally, is midterm right for you? Section 1, the midterm opportunity and moving beyond the traditional lease. Before we go any further, we need to be really precise. So, what exactly is a midterm rental? Well, it's a fully furnished home leased for 30 or more consecutive days. It's usually structured on a 1 to 6 month term and is quoted as an all-inclusive monthly rate. That means it covers furniture, utilities, internet, and basic supplies. It's not a nightly vacation stay, and it's definitely not a bare 12-month lease. It sits squarely in that middle lane. Section 2, crossing the 30-day line in the legal and tax impacts. The contrast here is pretty stark. If you rent for under 30 days in Kansas City, Missouri, you're operating a short-term rental. That means you're subject to city permit rules and transient guest taxes, just like a hotel. But cross that magic threshold to 30 days and up, and the city treats it as a standard lease. You completely fall outside the short-term permit process, and you owe zero transient guest tax. That's a massive difference for your margins. But hold on. Crossing that 30-day line doesn't just magically erase your normal landlord duties. The standard obligations absolutely still remain. A 60-day tenant still has Missouri or Kansas tenant rights, depending entirely on which side of the state line your property actually sits. Leases still govern your deposits and notice rules. And if you're in Kansas City, Missouri, those healthy homes rental inspection requirements still apply. Now, I want to note here that we're treating this as an educational explainer, not legal or tax advice, but it's totally crucial to understand that midterm operators write real leases, not nightly reservations. Section 3. Mapping Kansas City demand. Who is renting? Okay, so we know the rules of the game now, but who exactly is playing? Who's actually signing these midterm leases? Well, the demand here isn't hypothetical. It primarily comes from 4 distinct groups on very defined timelines. First up, traveling nurses and allied health staff, who typically work on 13-week contracts. Second, we see corporate relocations, meaning new hires needing a landing pad or staff on temporary assignment. Third are insurance stays, which are families displaced by fire or water damage. And fourth, project and construction teams. All 4 of these groups have one big thing in common. They want a furnished home they can literally just roll a suitcase into. Let's look a little closer at that first group. The hospital corridor demand is a huge driver in Kansas City. We're talking about major institutions, keeping clinicians cycling through on those 90-day contracts. This includes University Health Downtown, St. Luke's, Research Medical Center, Children's Mercy, and KU Med across the line in Kansas. If your property is near these nodes, you practically have a built-in audience. But hospitals aren't the only game in town. Let this number sink in for a second. 4,500. That's the number of people expected to be employed by the new Panasonic electric vehicle battery plant in DeSoto, Kansas, once it's fully operational in 2027. And get this, that doesn't even count the thousands of supplier and construction jobs during the ramp-up phase. This is just a colossal driver of new demand. And the housing pressure from that plant doesn't just stay in DeSoto. We're seeing a whole new demand map along the K-10 corridor, running straight east from the plant through Olathe, Shawnee, and into the Johnson County suburbs. Relocating engineers, commissioning teams, and contractors all need furnished housing, and they want to be a reasonable drive from K-10. This is a totally different geography from the downtown hospital demand. Section 4. The honest yield math, modeling the returns. All right, it's time to strip away the hype and model the actual returns. To figure out your premium, you really have to start with reality. Across the 250-plus properties Alpine manages in the metro, the baseline average for a long-term, unfurnished lease runs about $1,300 to $1,400 per month. Of course, this varies by neighborhood, but you've got to know your local long-term baseline first.
Only then can you start pulling those furnished 30-plus day comparables to see what your potential premium actually is.
Think of the midterm strategy as the middle setting on a dial between stability and yield. Long-term offers the highest income stability and lowest management intensity, plus the tenant pays the utilities. Short-term offers the absolute highest potential yield, but comes with high turnover, permits, lodging taxes, and crazy income volatility. Midterm really gives you a great balance. You dodge the short-term permits and transient taxes, but you do take on bundled utilities, moderate turnover, and the cost of furnishing. And those extra costs are significant. Please don't convert a unit until you model these 4 hidden carrying costs specifically for your property. First, furnishing and outfitting is real capital. You're buying beds, seating, and a fully stocked kitchen. Second, you're paying bundled utilities and internet, which can absolutely spike during a Kansas City summer. Third is turnover labor. You'll have full cleans and restocks several times a year. And fourth, the biggest risk of all, is vacancy between contracts. An empty furnished unit earns exactly $0 but still runs up your utility bills. Just 2 empty weeks between stays can completely destroy your annual premium.
Section 5. Is midterm right? Making the decision.
We've talked about the benefits, but I want to ask the hard question. When does a midterm rental absolutely not make sense for your property? Because the honest truth is, this strategy is not a magic bullet. It just doesn't work everywhere. Here are the specific scenarios where a conventional 12-month lease or a nightly rental is actually way better. First, if your property is out in a cash flow suburb with zero access to a hospital, a corporate campus, or that K-10 corridor, a furnished unit is probably just going to sit empty. Second, if you're an investor who cannot tolerate uneven income. Midterm income arrives in big bursts. If your mortgage can't absorb a slow month, stick to the steady, predictable deposit of a long-term lease. And third, if your property happens to be right next to a stadium in a true nightly demand pocket, a short-term rental might actually out-earn the midterm model, even with all the taxes. I want to leave you with a thought that perfectly summarizes everything we've covered today. The owners who win with midterms in Kansas City are the ones who let the demand map and the carrying math decide, rather than chasing the headline rate. Seriously, don't get distracted by the big monthly number on a listing site. Look at your local demand nodes, model your carrying costs honestly, and let the data tell you what to do. So the ultimate question is, are you optimizing your portfolio for convenience, or are you optimizing it for modern demand? For help managing your Kansas City rental property, call Alpine at 816-343-4520 or visit alpinekansascity.com.